We got our first set of mods for the GT350. Let's check them out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage when we're doing modifications to the GT350 already. But don't get your hopes up. It's not like I've got a supercharger or a twin turbo kit sitting over here on the table. I do got one that I want to talk about real quick. Before we look at the rest of it, let me grab it and we'll start there. Jacking rails. These are Steeda jacking rails. They use factory bolt holes. They go up underneath the rockers of the car to give you a point to not only jack the car up, but put it on jack stands safely. Very good thing to have on specific vehicles like this that have unibody construction. If you've got a Corvette or a XLR like I did, they have very interesting points where you can actually install pucks. Double check on your platform what kind of kit that you can use. This is money well spent. These are actually pretty cheap. I got these, as I said, from Steeda. I got a lot of the stuff that we're going to be looking at from Steeda. But I did want to talk about this. I'll be installing these at a later date. We don't need to jack it up right now to do any of these modifications. So let's check out some of the other mods. Oddly enough, kind of hard to find mods for a GT350. They just did so well from the factory. But I went ahead and I did get a new air filter and I went with Air Raid. Big fan of Air Raid. I've ran their intake setups on the Super Auto back in the day before it was supercharged. And so I thought, might as well, let's do a filter upgrade. On top of it, we're going to go ahead and do the coolant expansion tape. This is the Steeda version. There's plenty of cool versions out there, and it gets rid of that ugly plastic one that you'll see here in a bit. And this one will accept the factory cap on there. We'll look at upgrading that later down the day because it's just a plastic ugly thing. The cool thing that Steeda did is they actually include their logo not on there, so you can choose if you want to put the logo on it. Thank you for doing that. Some of the other stuff that we're looking at, a catch can, and isn't this just the cutest little catch can you've ever seen? Once again, this is the Steeda kit. It comes with the preformed hoses, fittings, connectors. I'll have to look up the install instructions because there's a lot of stuff going on here that I'm not quite sure what it does, but it all is there. So that's something we'll be knocking out today. I also got some little valve stem caps. This thing has nitrogen filled tires. We're not going to leave the green caps on there. I'm sorry, they detract from it. So I got a little black ones that got a little Shelby logo on the end of them because, you know, it's a Shelby, why not? We've got a Ford Performance short throw shifter. We'll install this in a different video where I'll go through the process of doing that. There is a plethora of short throw shifters out there. The shift on this car is already pretty short. So I don't know if I'll stick with this, but this one only reduces it like 25%, so not a big significant change. I didn't want to go crazy. I think there's some out there that do like a 40% reduced throw, which is just mind-blowing to me. But this one retains the factory pull-up reverse as opposed to the push-down that you see some of them. And, you know, short throw shifters are expensive. This one's probably about 250 bucks around there. But why not try and make a great shifting transmission a little better? And then last but not least, we have the Shelby battery cover, fuse box, actually not battery, but fuse box cover, and the master cylinder cover because they're both ugly plastic things. And you'll see here in a second, the engine bay on this thing's kind of ugly. Leave a comment down below. Should I leave this the bare aluminum or should maybe throw a little black on there to black this thing out? Hopefully the engraving would come through on the paint. I think it would if we were to paint it black, but if it didn't, we could always strip it. It's not the end of the world, so. Let's go take a look underneath the hood. Here you can get a look at what I'm talking about. This thing is just filthy ugly. So, gotta go. And then we got the fuse block there and then our master cylinder back there. Fuse block's not that bad, at least it's black. Our catch can's gonna mount somewhere over here. In fact, this is one of the lines that we'll be replacing. We'll have to look that up and go from there. But overall, it's kind of a boring engine bay. Other than having a couple dudes' signatures on the side here who especially built this thing, there's not a lot going on. And it already has a cold air intake. In fact, there's not really a lot of reasons that I can see to go to an aftermarket cold air intake because this is a pretty solid design. So why waste the money to effectively replace this thing, which is a nice sealed cold air intake that actually pulls air from the grill. There is a duct that goes into it. Why replace that with something that's going to essentially be the same? But we will go ahead and pull out the original Ford air filter on here and throw the Air Raid in there. Got the air raid unit here. We're going from a paper type to a mesh cloth style. Might breathe a little better. Probably won't make a single bit of difference, but it'll be red versus this kind of natural yellow cloth. And should be able to just lift this one out of the way. I like it when mods are easy. And this is a dry style. I believe you can get it wet, but we're not going to be driving this thing enough to need it. Oh, there's an arrow that says down, so make sure that you're following the instructions, because there is a notch that it actually fits into, and that's what I like about Air Raid, is they pay attention to the details like that. Woo, this one might be a tight fit. There we go. Pop that booger on there, and we'll make sure that tab is aligned. It needs to go a little bit. We can tighten her down, and we got a better looking air filter set up just like that. This is a cleanable unit, so it can be washed and reused, which is just an added benefit. And first performance mod done. Next, we're going to do the coolant expansion tank. So we're just going to go ahead and take these two lines off to start off. Nice and easy. Back these clamps down. Come on. Grab a hold of this, give it a little twist to help break it loose. It might still be on. Nope, there we go. That one's off. Do the same for the other side. Okay, that one's off. We'll kind of hold that up. Shouldn't be a lot of coolant in this because it is an expansion tank. And then we'll grab what looks like a 10mm and pop this tank off. Okay, so we do have one hose on the bottom, so we're going to want to be prepared to lose a little bit of coolant out of that one. But let's see if we can go ahead and get this thing pulled up and mitigate losing as much coolant as possible whenever we do the transfer over. So if we go ahead and set this up out of the way. Oh no, I'm getting my engine bay dirty. There we go. So Steed is nice enough to include a couple new bolts for whenever you do this, so you get a little bit of a cleaner looking setup. Big shout out to them for thinking about that, so we don't have to use these factory ugly ones. But I'm going to try and figure out the best way to drain the fluid out of this into an approved container. In fact, I've got a bottle of distilled water here that's basically empty. That would be perfect. Okay. Swear, situations like this, you just can't help but make a mess. We're going to go ahead and top this thing off with a little bit of water to replace the coolant we've lost. You're going to want this thing to be about half full whenever it's all said and done. And we'll have to check it after the first drive because our volume may go down a little bit. Should be good for now. And we can go back on with our factory cap. Let me know down in the comments, should we put the logo on here or just leave it blank? Pretty straightforward install for this unit. Just comes with a couple double-sided Velcro tabs, in this case 3. I would have thought they'd come with a little bit more, but we'll go ahead and throw these on our fuse block. Ooh, they're pretty good sticky though. I'll give them that. Put the fuzzy side down. 1, 2, and 3. And then we will attach the other side to the dots we just installed. slide cover on like so. Give it a good press. There we go. Nice and cold. You can see my handprint on there. Let's do the same for the master cylinder. Master cylinder cover, and I actually use the Velcro dots for the master cylinder cover on the fuse box. There's 6 of them for this thing, but I can always go back and add more if need be. It's got kind of a pattern that they recommend on this one. We'll have to go ahead and take the reservoir cap off to get this one on. And you should just slide down over like so. Yeah. Okay. So, looking good, looking better. Let me know again down in the comments, should we leave them bare aluminum? Should we throw a light gloss of black on them? Looks pretty good with the aluminum strut brace in there. So, I don't know, what's your thoughts? It all looks better. That's what we're going for. Okay, let's focus on getting the catch can installed. Okay, so the catch can is a little bit of a universal setup. And basically what we're going to be using out of all of them are these 2 fittings here, a couple of these PEX style crimp connectors that are going to go on this hose. And we're going to put this hose in and then split it, or we could actually use the one that's already in there if we wanted to. It does come with a filter on here. We're going to want to put the filter on the inlet side, I believe. So this one, I'm not sure if it actually matters. Maybe, no, actually we'd probably want it on the outlet side. Thread this thing in finger tight. Don't go too crazy. You don't want to crush the filter. And we'll make sure, there we go, that this side is our outlet. And I'll throw a little thread lock on here, or thread seal on here. It says to hit the O-ring with a little bit of grease. We're going to use a little bit of dielectric grease on there. Just put a little bit on my finger. I'll run it around the O-ring. That's just to make sure we get a proper seal. And then we can screw our canister. Just needs to be finger tight. You don't want to smash anything. Just get a good seal. That should be proper. And we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get these fittings ready. We'll go over to the car and install this, cut it, and then our catch can is going to mount in between. Okay, so here's the one that we're replacing. As you can see, it's not going to fit as is. We'll go ahead and pop this one out of the way. It's just got little locking tabs on there. If you push it out, it should pop off like so. And like so. Get that out of the way. And we'll be putting one on there. We'll be kind of routing it around. Maybe even through, might be a little bit better right there. And so we're going to want to put the catch can right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a cut right in the center of that. Okay, I went ahead and marked the barb for my outlet that's going to go to the intake manifold side. That way I know that the unfiltered air is going in on this side, then it'll go through the filter before it makes its way to the intake manifold. So let's double check our fit. That one should go here. Like so. This one should go here like so. And now we should be able to install our catch can in between the two. Let me pop this fitting back off. Took a little digging, but I found them. We're going to go ahead and mock this thing up one more time. Make sure everything's lined up the way it needs to be. We almost need to take a little bit out of the middle to make this thing fit. So let's go ahead and do that now before we lock this thing down. I took about 1 inch out of the middle, so we should be able to get a better alignment on this now. And I think that's going to work. So let's go ahead and crimp these down
1, 2, run it back through, and boom, we're done with our catch can. Yeah, I like that. That works out nice. Last but not least, let's get rid of these ugly green valve stems. And man, take a look at those brakes while you're at it. Makeover done. So that's it for our first round of mods. Just a couple things to clean up the engine bay, make everything look a little cleaner. Maybe add a little horsepower with that aerated air filter. Probably not, but who cares? Everything looks better underneath the hood. As I said, hit up the comments. Let me know. Should we leave those things bare aluminum? Should I throw that Steeda logo on the expansion tank? What mods would you guys like to see on this thing? Hit up the comments. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to get back to it. You know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. ABT, always be tuning.